Yo, yo, yo. What's up, everybody?
What's up, guys? Happy Monday.
Pictures was 30 minutes early. I like it. Very very attentive to the stream. Yeah, happy Monday, everybody. Miles is off in Europe today, and then we should have Garrett hopping in pretty soon. But if you guys are brand new, we're always live every Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So always come by, drop a message, say hi, ask any questions you got, that kind of thing. It's always a good time.
Yeah, hey there, Cassandra.
What's up, Cassandra?
Free the Dom. Yep,
Finally
finally
caught the live for sure, for sure.
Sure.
Yeah, so Corey is a big wholesale seller. A little bit of brand direct, a lot of distribution, that kind of stuff. So if you guys have any questions about getting into wholesale, if you're maybe an existing seller, that kind of thing, and then I've been selling Amazon for about 6 years at this point, doing books and arbitrage and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, let us know what questions you guys got, and
Yeah,
and everybody.
And out of curiosity, guys, go ahead and drop in the chat how long it is that you've been selling on Amazon. I want to get a feel for everybody's experience level. Warner, you said you've been at it for about 6 years. I've been at it for, actually, this past month was 8 years for me. And I know Miles has been at it, I think, 4 or 5 years. Garrett also 4 or 5 years. So we do have quite a bit of experience between the four of us, and doing these Q&As are a lot of fun. Picture says, is wholesale model dead or not? So Pictures, the answer to your question is no. So I've been doing wholesale. I've been doing wholesale for 6 years now. I've been selling on Amazon for a total of 8. Wholesale is alive and well, especially brand direct. It's super profitable when you do it the right way. And if you niche down, you can really, really dominate certain categories.
Yeah. People basically ask this question every day for the last probably 15 years. We just weren't around. I assume I bet there's people in 2010 being like, oh, it's too late. Like,
yeah, very common question.
What is dead is doing the same thing that worked 5 years ago, like down to a T, right? Selling the same products, that kind of thing. Got to be able to roll with the punches. But yeah, as long as you enjoy learning new things and learning how to sell new stuff, and just kind of, just continuing to grow, you'll do fine.
Yep, Free the Dom just placed my first order.
Like
Congratulations.
Yeah, good work. Sandra,
awesome.
been at it for 2 weeks. Nice.
I've noticed that some ASINs do not have a buy box despite having a lot of offers. What does it mean? So, Cassandra, that just means that the buy box is suppressed. Usually it's because the price for that product is a lot lower on some other website, whether it's Walmart or Home Depot or some other retailer. So Amazon will suppress the buy box because they don't want to show a higher price than some of these other websites. So that's typically what it means. It could be, in other cases, sometimes it's an issue with the listing itself, but more often than not, it's the price.
Yeah. A lot of times it means there's some profit to be made there, though. If Amazon's saying, hey, this price is high, then you should be like, hey, this price is high. I like that. Like, so as long as you see that's kind of consistent, then you can definitely make some good money on it.
Yep.
John said you've been doing wholesale for 5 years. That's what's up, John. Yeah. How are sales and everything like that looking for you? What are love to know your thoughts on how everything's going for you.
So
we got Garrett in the cut. What's up, Garrett?
Oh, what's up, Garrett?
What's up?
How we doing? We golfing for lose track of time. What's
Dude, I honestly, and you can never tell Miles this. I was just on my phone, and then I guess I'm nothing without the Miles alert.
Oh no,
bro got caught on TikTok.
Yeah. Freebie said, I'm closing multiple brands, but noticing I may not have enough capital. How do I get more capital? I have a 640 credit score.
That's a great problem to have. I like it.
Yes.
You've been sourcing your heart out.
Yeah, Freebie. So that is a good problem to have, right? So my recommendation would be first of all, I wouldn't take on a loan or take on any debt unless you have a really good bookkeeper and you know your profit right down to the penny. So assuming that is the case, assuming you do have really good books, then depending on, I don't know how long you've been in business, but it might help just to get like a Amex Plum credit card to get those extended terms. Ask for terms with your supplier, right? That's a way to kind of stretch out your cash flow cycle, which can help you buy more product. There's ways to do it without actually taking on debt that I'd like to see you exhaust first.
Yeah. Like the easiest one that everyone should be doing is just timing your credit card statement date. Like you can tell your credit card company and move it up, like whenever you want to start kind of planning for it. And then if you spend right after your statement date, it gives you an extra, like sometimes like 3 weeks to pay it off. if you spend right after the statement date. I know I was doing a lot of that, like trying to maximize every dollar I had a few years ago. And there's tons of OA stuff to buy. You got 50 grand to your name, that kind of thing, and you want to burn through all of it.
I mean, the other thing is, this may be just a representation of just simply not having enough Amazon relationships in the game of other sellers doing the same sort of thing, right? One of the biggest questions we get is like, how much capital is enough to start wholesale? And while there's not necessarily a number, it should be a matter of, okay, I need to know enough people where I'll never come across a brand that's too big for me, right? An order that's too big. Because the fact of the matter is, you can have profitable brands, and even if you can't foot the entire order, well, maybe you can tap a couple friends on the shoulder and see if they want to help jump in on the order, and you can still profit off of those particular accounts. Maybe you split the order in 3s, 2s, whatever the case may be, as long as obviously those listings can support the added people and you trust them and those sorts of things. But like it may just be a situation where keep opening those accounts, but just maybe have some people on the back burner where if you come across an order or a brand that requires a 30K MOQ, and that's not something you can completely afford yet, maybe you split it in 3 ways, and now a $10,000 order is a lot more easier to swallow than a 30.
Yep.
Great point.
Yeah. On those big MOQs, if you can spend it, you'll always be able to share some listings with friends and that kind of thing.
100%.
Got you, man. Can you use USPS box for FBM? Not the ones that are like priority mail. You can only use those if you're paying for priority mail, if that's what you're asking about. Which usually you're going to be doing like a cheaper way than priority, unless they paid for expedited shipping. You can use some of those during like holiday season though, if they're buying expedited.
Ran into transparency listing application. Could y'all explain this? Yeah, it's just like an added moat that some brands utilize to just authenticate the people that are selling their products, right? It's just like a code that manufacturers put on the packaging of a product, and they can track that particular product through the supply chain and really kind of understand who's getting their products, who's selling it, just to make sure that the products that are ending up in the end consumer's hands are authentic and coming directly from them, as opposed to secondhand products, replicas, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's
if you're buying direct from the brand, yeah,
100%. It's a good problem to have as long as you're buying directly from the brand and your relationships are positive. It just keeps out some of the more gray hat sellers, and it really protects the value of the brand and the products within that brand.
Hustler said, I have the book 6 Pillars of Amazon Wholesale by Corey. It's actually 5 pillars.
He made the 6. I was like,
Hope you,
he invented the 6th pillar for you, Corey. He should get some royalties on that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but once you read it, let me know what you think about it. Glad to hear that you have it. He also,
that's my favorite book. I read it to my non-existent kids every night before bed, from front to back.
Hey, I appreciate that. Selfmade said, how do I hire VAs for OA? So if you're talking about like how do you actually find them, most of us use this website called onlinejobs.ph. So you can go to online jobs, you can post a job posting, you can find a bunch of potential candidates that will apply to your job posting, and then you just talk to them and you vet them out and you hire them based on what it is that you're looking for. We could go into a lot more detail. But I have a video on my channel about how I find VAs for wholesale, and the same process can be applied to OA. Just search Corey Ganem Wholesale on YouTube.
Yeah, the main thing if you're hiring
Corey Ganem Virtual Assistant, not wholesale.
Nice. Yeah, the main thing if you're hiring virtual assistants for OA or anything in general, honestly, the most important thing is just testing attention to detail, because you can teach people's skills and that kind of thing. But if you give people like 5 pages of look at these products and are they the same, like is there profit to be found here, that kind of thing, that'll weed out most people that can't be taught.
With big MOQs, how much does Amazon charge for storing the items? It's definitely not worth it. So don't get it twisted, right? With big MOQs, we're not necessarily buying deeper in the same products, right? We would never advocate to buy 6, 7, 8 months of a product just because it's really good, right? Buying more months of stock doesn't make a good product better. It just makes a good product way more expensive to hold, right? So what we will advocate for is looking deeper in the catalog, right? Maybe trying to add a couple more SKUs, 5, 10 more SKUs on top of the 3 products that are making up that 50K order, right? Because no matter how good of a product is, it's not worth sitting on it for 6 months, right? So see if you could add some more products to the catalog. See if you can negotiate maybe some bigger discounts to be able to open more doors onto that particular order. But very, 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 very rarely is a product going to be worth footing the bill for 6 months of stock, right? Because you're just so much more exposed. Amazon could hop on the listing. A couple sellers can take the product. The velocity can go down. The listing can get separated. The listing can get suppressed. Any number of things could happen in kind of like the Amazon marketplace that we work in. So the big thing is to make an order bigger. You just add more SKUs to it.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing with those like wholesale invoices you're seeing, you can like a lot of times they can get, especially if, hopefully they're legit, right? And they should be able to get stuff that's not necessarily on the list, but it's from the same supplier. Like you see a product you really want, it's not necessarily on the list, but you know, hey, we saw you carry Dove. Can you get this specific Dove thing that's not on your list? And maybe you can hit the MLQ that way, that kind of thing.
That's a good point. Tons of distribution companies will
They'd
operate.
be happy to like, oh, you want to buy, we didn't
100%.
even have to like price out, or it's like, sure.
Because a lot of times they have a team that's kind of QAing their catalog,
Yeah.
adding products, finding new opportunities, finding new SKUs, right? And so you suggesting some products in that kind of capacity, they may appreciate it more than you would expect.
Yeah, and better yet, telling them exactly how many of those you're interested in buying. They can go directly to the manufacturer and get a quote on that. And a lot of times they're going to be willing to take a lower margin because they're just essentially brokering it to you from the manufacturer. So that can be a really good way to beef up those POs.
That's like the type of combo that goes from, hey, we're an Amazon seller, to like, hey, we know what we want, we'll buy this, can you get it for us?
Right.
And then
exactly.
they maybe the sales rep pulls some strings and he will sell to an Amazon seller.
So good question. We should go around the horn for this. What separates a 10K a month seller to a 50K a month seller?
PSDG.
Dude, honestly, it's going to come down to the products and how much you spend on quality products, right? It's no more. The data doesn't change. SOPs aren't really changing much in that kind of capacity with the 10 to 50, right? It's really only coming down to how much you can spend on quality products. Your ability to find opportunities, find products, and buy accurately on quality products, right? That data is going to take you from 10K to 100K to 500K, right? The products, the data, the analytic capacity, the processes aren't changing. Simply just buying and spending money on quality, accurate products, or quality products accurately.
Yeah, it's funny. I wrote a thread on this literally today because, like, yeah, getting to 10K is just like, all right, I understand the basics. Like, I actually think anyone on the planet could get 10K a month, but I think it takes a different kind of person to hit like 100K, and especially to get beyond that. Because you see a lot of people get stuck at 10, and then I see a lot of people get stuck at, it's not 100, it's like 115 or 120, where like the next ceiling is. I always see people get stuck like just above 100K, which is like,
or like that, like 60
interesting
to 80K.
Yeah,
where it's like they really want to be
or like a yeah.
They're close.
The big thing is like 10K is just look at products, buy products, test order, that kind of thing. Getting to 100K is skipping test orders, and like Garrett was saying, just how much faster can you get it? Oh, I like this brand, and I like this brand too, and I've seen this brand before, and oh, I've looked at this brand before. Oh, there's a new website with a coupon. This is better than what I've seen before, right? So it's just like connecting the dots and kind of leveling up the skill set you already have. I wouldn't say you don't even need VAs at all to hit 50K.
No.
Yeah, and my take on this question is, so really the only thing that separates the 10K a month and the 50K a month is simply how much inventory you've sent to Amazon. It's simply, you know, some people, when they get stuck in thinking, how do I want to grow? Well, the answer is always just to send more inventory into FBA. And in my business and in most wholesale businesses historically, I think your cost of goods is going to be right around 55% of your revenue. So if you want to sell 50K per month, well, in order to sell 50K per month, 55% of that is what? That's 27. You have to have $27,500 in buy cost worth of inventory at Amazon selling every 30 days. So realistically, you need at least, you know, double or triple that in terms of your entire inventory value, right? So you're probably going to need to have, you know, 50 to 100K total invested in inventory to be able to justify that amount of monthly sales, most likely. So just looking at kind of working backwards.
Insight here. 1K if you want to sell 50K. It's like a little below that.
in the same token, right? Nothing's gonna kill a growing Amazon business more than bad buys, right?
Right.
So nothing's gonna ever save you from being accurate and buying accurately, right? Because if the fact that you can make 5 accurate purchases, but if the 6th one isn't good and you're missing on every 1 to 5 or 1 of 10, well, you're gonna take 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, right? We need to be making sure that as much of our purchases are quality, right? Over 95% hit rate in terms of the actual amount of purchases you're making, right? Because if you spend 100K good and then you spend 10 bad, well, you're pretty much back to square zero.
Yep.
What up, Miles? Paris is corrupting this man in real time.
Yeah.
Hey, so dude, I thought it was fake, to be honest.
Let's see.
Okay. Eduardo said, out of your opinion, where do you think the money is on eBay or on Amazon? My money is on Amazon. Yeah. So Eduardo, it really just depends on the kind of products you're selling. So somebody at one point said it this way, and I thought it made a lot of sense. They said eBay is the best place to sell 100 things one time, and Amazon is the best place to sell one thing 100 times. So if you're trying to do what we're doing, which is arbitrage or wholesale, then yeah, Amazon is by far going to be the best place to do that. But, and I've done a lot of this before myself, if you are doing things like buying products from thrift stores and flipping them online, or going to garage sales, or buying stuff on Marketplace, right? Where the ROI can be huge. There's really big margins in that, but it's just not as scalable. And that type of flipping, that type of work would be better for eBay. So it really just depends on what it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
How do you win the buy
Crank out
box?
your returns there too.
Yeah, huge. How do you win the buy box if there's like 20 sellers at different prices? By equaling the current buy box price. Of course, within reason, right? Anytime you set a price, it's going to be within the minimum and maximum kind of threshold of where you're comfortable selling the product at. But it doesn't really make sense to kind of overanalyze how much you could potentially win the buy box, because it's out of our control, right? As long as we are buying quality products that move fast and have proven velocity over a period of time, the only thing we can do is make sure our price is equal to the buy box currently as much as possible, right? Because that kind of puts us in line, gives us an at bat to be the next buy box owner, to be the next winner of the buy box.
Well,
and the more time we spend even to that buy box, that's how our pricers work. As long as we're changing our price and equal to the buy box as much time as possible within our given parameters, that's the most we can do. We just keep replicating that over time, and that's how you create an Amazon business, right? It doesn't do us any good setting our price at $30 if the price is proven to be between 20 and 25 over time. We're not going to get any sales.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the reason, this is why you test order for 1 and why you have a repricer for 2, right? So as long as you place test orders and you have a good repricer, you're going to get a feeling for how many you can move. And then when you place that next order, you double down based on how many you sold the first time.
I mean, of course, there are some nuances, right? So some scenarios on some listings, you'll see a more like flat buy box where you go into the statistics and you see maybe one seller is owning 80, 90%, 95% of a buy box for whatever reason, right? Maybe they've been on it for years, whatever the case may be. Maybe that's something that you potentially want to avoid and skip over just because the data shows that one seller kind of is looking like they're dominating that buy box more than others. But most often is the case, as long as you see that oscillation within kind of like your parameters of what makes a successful product, you're good to go.
Yeah, and that kind of goes into what they're asking here. New sellers actually aren't at a disadvantage for the buy box, unless you're just launched, which is a very, very slight like change. But don't necessarily like think about that. The biggest thing is price and shipping speed. If your price and shipping speed matches the current buy box, you'll make some sales.
But even if newer sellers it doesn't do us any good worrying about it, right? Because that's just going to create an overwhelming hamster wheel of like, oh shoot, I can't sell anything, so I can't start. Right? You'll never not be a new seller if you don't be a new seller.
Right. And at the end of the day, there are thousands, if not really tens of thousands of brands that new sellers are going to be ungated in, where there is little competition because it's not an electronic brand or a beauty brand, right? It's something maybe in like the automotive category or like the industrial and scientific category that's just more low key. They're going to have less competition, and you're going to win a lot more buy box on products like that.
Yep. As you go, do you spend less time or more time sourcing? Like it depends on what you're optimizing for. If you're optimizing for making as much money as humanly possible on Amazon, you would spend more time sourcing as you grow because you would outsource the things that are low hourly tasks like ungating and account health and doing restocks and that kind of stuff, and actively sourcing new products. That's the most valuable per hour skill you can do.
And with more money to spend
Yeah.
on new products.
That's not what most people will do, because a lot of people, feel like you earned your flowers a little bit, right? You've been doing it for a year, 2 years, that kind of thing. You're okay with, all right, I grind a lot, let me work a little bit less, and I'm happy with what I'm making. But if you're optimizing for money, you would be sourcing more and more as you scale.
Yeah, you should be. That's where you spend all your time, really. Because that is really the one task that makes you money.
Yeah.
So in a perfect world, you would be spending all your time sourcing, and everybody else in your team would be taking care of everything else.
Yeah, and
the profit on Starbucks.
Remember, and we kind of touched on this a little earlier, right? The biggest lever we have as an Amazon seller is our spend, is our sourcing, is our product acquisition, right? That's the biggest lever. That's the thing that makes the most difference. That's why, as Corey was saying, we have to allocate as many quality business hours from our cumulative team on that one skill, on that one lever, because if you push it hard enough, that's what's really going to grow your business.
Yep. Got to figure out how to sell them for 18 on Amazon, then Revelations. Do a little Starbucks arbitrage. Let's see. Do you guys personally use Capital in shopping? I don't use it for cashback. I mostly use Top Cashback for cashback. A little bit of Be Frugal, that kind of thing. But just check there's a website, Cashback Monitor. It'll show you all the different marketplaces, and then just use whatever the highest of the day is.
Lots of good questions today. So
I know you guys are on a roll.
Yeah, and I want to touch on a lot of these. So Tony said, seems like 15 of my products are in pending. Are other sellers messing with my inventory, and what can be done? So Tony, chances are those products are just in what's called FC transfer, meaning Amazon is just moving them from one fulfillment center to another one. It could be just across the country. So it takes multiple days in a lot of cases, sometimes a couple of weeks. So be patient. Don't worry about it. If you look up a week or two from now and they're still pending, then figure out why they're pending. Open a case to determine why it is that they're pending, and make sure everything's on the up and up. But overall, that's normal.
Yep. Let's see, slinging some coffee. That's what's up. I like it. FC transfer took 13 days last time for you. That sounds about right. It's maybe a little bit slow, but yeah, if you think about it, they're shipping stuff from one to a couple warehouses all across the country. So 2 weeks doesn't seem that unreasonable for it.
Phil said he's got his LLC paperwork sorted. He's opening his business bank account this Thursday. Can't wait to get started. Awesome, Phil. Exciting, man. Are you going to be jumping in with wholesale? Are you going to be doing arbitrage? What is it that you're going to be doing? Let us know.
Yeah. Short also had a good question for you, Corey. I know you like jamming on this one here. Can you use PPC?
Yeah, short. So there is absolutely place for PPC in the arbitrage model, and that is going to be called the catch-all PPC campaign. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to link it in the chat. I don't know if this is going to go just to my channel.
I'll copy it.
That are
I'll
watching
paste it into mine too then.
Okay, so guys, I'm going to link this video. It's literally 4 minutes long, but it's going to show you exactly how to set up this it's called a catch-all auto PPC campaign. And what it will do is it will add 10% to your monthly sales on average if you're an arbitrage seller or a wholesale seller. And the ROAS, meaning the return on your ad spend, is usually really high. Like if you look at mine, my ROAS is 44-1 lifetime. So for every $1 I spend on this campaign, I get $44 back. And it's been running for me since 2020, and I haven't touched it. It's the closest thing to free money I've ever seen or heard of on Amazon.
Yeah, take advantage. It's good if you guys have like a lot of stock or something, I would say, especially.
Yeah, absolutely. Ethan said, I have access to a toy vendor with a lot of brand direct accounts and willing to let me buy from him, but it seems the toy category is really restricted. Any tips? So Ethan, when you say a toy vendor, like, is this just like a single guy, or is this like a company? Because when you're just referring to this guy as like a him, again, just give us some clarity, because if this is like a big toy distributor, then yeah, there's definitely an opportunity there. And if they're a big authorized distributor, they can help you get unrestricted, or they can help you get ungated if they have good paperwork. But if this is just kind of like a random guy that maybe has like a backdoor connection, then probably not going to be something that Amazon would be down with if they had to ask for documentation.
Do you know who Versure is? Keeps saying about, yeah, Versure is a huge Amazon seller.
Oh yeah, they're huge. Yeah,
Tanking
somebody
prices.
else asked me about them. In fact, I think one of our mastermind members DM'd me last week, and they were like, "Hey, is Versure in the mastermind?" I was like, "No, why?" And they were like, "Oh, well, they're on one of our listings." And I was trying to get in touch with them and tell them to like back off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, that's probably,
they can be brutal.
they're probably buying their products probably 20% cheaper than yours are.
Right.
And that's, I mean,
Exactly.
that's just the neighbor. And looking through their catalog quick, I mean, they're just like a very, generic product. They're probably buying them from like Dot or UNFI. Or
It's
something.
basically what like Caspian was doing.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
See, TFB just made a sale. That's what's up. That's what's up.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, he said make
I'm pretty
money
sure it's a
watching.
proven fact that if you watch Money Monday, your Amazon sales go up just in real time.
Yeah, so over
Yeah.
the 25 to 30 minutes that Money Monday usually happens, it's just like it's almost like a booster for your sales. So it's like the longer you watch the stream, the more sales you make over that
So
time period.
basically, if we start hitting a recession or anything, we're gonna have to start doing some 24-hour live streams to save the American economy. I think
Yeah.
something like that. Something like that.
You might have to. Orlando, best way to find wholesale leads. Currently, I'm using Keep a Product Finder and then directly contacting the brands. So Orlando, my favorite way to find brands and to find leads is to use Smart Scout. And so I've got a bunch of Smart Scout videos on my YouTube. Just go search. I've got like 9 or 10 of them. And I use Smart Scout to find brands in a certain category. And then I call those brands and I either open an account directly with the brand, or if not, I ask the brand to point me to a distributor, right? Hey, who are your distributors here in my area? And so what that does is that lets me build up a really big list of authorized distributors that I get by calling the brands. So you kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Probably saw one of my YouTube, or they may be in Miles's coaching program, or saw one of my YouTube videos, because that's Keep a Product Finder, the brand sourcing.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's how I do it. Yeah.
I just read the back of the product. It will tell you who is doing the wholesale on it. Yeah, so that's a really good point.
True.
So this is really common in the grocery category too. Like a lot of times, if you look on product packaging, on a lot of product packaging, it'll say distributed by XYZ company. And sometimes this is the brand that it's distributed by the brand themselves, but sometimes it's distributed by a big national distributor that has access to a lot of other brands. So just by paying attention to the packaging, like you said there, you can find a lot of really good opportunities.
For sure. Yeah, I'm back up north at the other crib there, Adrian. Let's see. I know you guys asked a bunch of questions here. Let's see. Phil had a good one. Or there you go. Yeah, you're grinding at the 9 to 5. Got plenty of time to source. I like it. Yeah. I know there's a lot of you guys using company time for the personal LLC.
Yeah, gotta respect it. I did the same thing.
I mean, obviously everyone has their preference, but if you're someone that's, been committed to a job for a while and maybe built up some capital, worked 60 hours, so maybe time is of the essence, I would look at the wholesale model, to be honest, right? You could do, like, again, with spend and products as the biggest lever in this business, wholesale, if you have the money, right, and you could buy 1,000 units, and the same time you can buy 100 or 20 or 50, you're going to make a lot bigger strides more quickly with kind of like the brand direct wholesale model.
For sure.
And so the way that I think about it now too, somebody DM'd me today and they were saying they're newer, they've got capital, and they were asking if they should start with OA or wholesale. And really the advice that I'm giving people now is, if you're brand new, if you have business experience, then I think you can start with wholesale, no problem, right? I know plenty of people that have. But if you're new to entrepreneurship, I would not start with wholesale. I would start with arbitrage to get your feet wet, and eventually you can move into wholesale. But that's kind of the advice that I've been giving people now that are new, that are asking, hey, should I start with wholesale or should I start with arbitrage? Would you guys kind of agree with that, or do you guys have a different opinion?
Yeah, you can scale anything. Like, there's people that started with books and are doing 8 figures now. So like whatever your skill set and personality is suited for. But yeah, for most of you guys, it's going to be flipping some name brand stuff, learning the basics, just because.
I mean, to your point, wholesale is generally a model that takes a bit longer to get off the ground, right? You could get your first brand account in tomorrow, or you could get it in 2 months, and there's no real rhyme or reason kind of to differentiate that. And so with OA, you can start making money tomorrow, especially if you're willing to ship FBM.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Johnny said, Corey, can you be a new seller to join the wholesale network? What's the cost? So Johnny, the wholesale network isn't for brand new sellers. So if you're brand new to selling on Amazon, go to wholesaleaccelerator.io. That's our school community that's geared towards newer sellers. The goal is to get you that first wholesale PO. So I would check that out.
For sure. Sweet. Good vibes today. Probably good to wrap there then. Good to see all you guys. Lots of great questions today as well. You guys brought some good energy. So yeah, make sure you guys are just kind of getting after it. Take action. I know a lot of you guys at the beginning said you're kind of new to this stuff. So best thing you can do now is best thing you can do now is just kind of getting out there, take action. Right. Father's Day sales are starting to roll up too. So there's gonna be a lot of good opportunity as well. Any last words, folks?
When is Father's Day?
Next Sunday, your bad son.
Next Sunday?
It's in like a week, right? Or am I crazy?
Good Lord, man!
Yeah,
These holidays,
very soon.
These
it's in a week.
holidays come up so these days come up so freaking quick.
Yeah. So there's your PSA. Go make some money and don't forget to buy your dad something.
Yeah, go call your dad.
Awesome. You guys have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you guys all again very soon.
All right.